Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Healthy Doses with Dr. Erica E. Watson. I'm so excited today. We're going to be talking about nutrition, which is one of my favorite topics. And I hope that after this event today, it will become one of your favorite topics as well. I'm sure it will. I'm sure it will. We have some guests with us today, which makes everything even better. And we have a lot of rich conversation. We're going to have a natural flow. We'll have some science mixed in. We'll talk about some cultural connections. We'll talk about emotional connections. We'll talk a little bit very specifically about health. And we'll have an opportunity for, as usual, you to ask questions. So please make sure that you post your questions in the chat. I don't know exactly how you do that. I think you just type them in. Make sure you put them in so that we can answer them. You can put them in whenever you want and we'll address them. Thank you for being here today, and we will start our presentation now. All right. So our focus today, our title for today is called Nutrition and Its Impacts on Our Lives. I'd like for us to think of this as more of a menu than an agenda. I'd like to give some thank yous first. First of all, to Career Communications Group, which is the organization that enables this Healthy Doses series. Women of Color, Bea, which is the Black Engineer of the Year Awards, Nikki, Quan, and Ray, Bella Avalos, Mrs. Alicia Ross, and Sean Brooks, who will be joining us today as well. All right, first I'd like to introduce Isabella Bella Avalos. She's a junior at Mitchell College in Southeastern Connecticut, studying psychology and criminal justice with hopes of working in the mental health field, specifically with those who are incarcerated. Coming from a Mexican and an indigenous background, Isabella has observed the need to implement social justice and equitable treatment within the carceral system. Her passion for restorative justice guides her field of interest along with her current academic focuses. Isabella also spends much of her free time playing soccer as she plays on the women's soccer team at Mitchell College. And she definitely understands how important nutrition is to overall well-being and performance. So thank you, Bella. Bella is one of our experts on the team today. I'd also like to introduce Sean Brooks. Sean is a recent graduate with his Bachelor of Arts in Sociology. I have known Sean for many years. He is becoming a successful professional out in the social justice field as well. And we look forward to hearing his input today and hearing his questions as well. So thank you, Sean, for joining us. And we have Quan Hurst, who is the Chief Operations Officer for Career Communications Group. Thank you, Quan, for joining us today. All right, the first question is, what in the world? What is nutrition? So what we're going to do today is have a round table. We're all going to be talking. I forgot to tell you who I am. I'm Dr. Erica E. Watson. I am a clinical nutritionist. I'm also an anti-racist and pro-equity educator, and I'm a community health provider. I have a business called Wise Tree Health Connections, and I work with patients and clients with all of their clinical nutrition or just nutritional needs. So today, we're going to talk about nutrition to the point where you're going to leave thinking, you know what, maybe I should consider going into nutrition, or maybe I should consider spreading the word about good nutrition to my family and friends. Let's get back to the main question. What is nutrition? So I'm going to open it up to my experts. Anyone can jump in. What is nutrition? What does it mean? Or what do you think of?
Nutrition to me would be just like listening to your body and being conscious of like how certain foods like make you feel.
Okay. All right. Absolutely. We need to pay attention to how they make us feel. You know how sometimes if you eat a hamburger or French fries, you might feel immediately like, ooh, that's tasty. And then later, oh my God, I can't believe I just did that. So there are the acute onset feelings, I guess we could say, and then the down the road response. And I think it's good, Bella, that you brought this up because we need to pay attention to all of those. So that next time if we go to eat a burger and fries, By the way, burgers and fries aren't bad. It's just good if you can eat them as plant-based and not fried. If we go eat them later, we know what the results might be. We know we might feel good for the first few minutes, and then we might not feel so good after.
Right.
So thank you for sharing.
Yeah, when I think of nutrition, I think of nutritious, and that's kind of where every now and again it's a challenge. It's like I try to eat nutritious meals because I want the nutrition from them.
Okay. So then that's good. What does nutritious mean then? That's kind of fancy.
It's not necessarily what we want, but what our body really needs to thrive.
Okay. It's what our bodies really need. Okay, thank you.
Yes. And I think of just the access to quality and healthy food for nutrition, and ensuring that we are capable of living and sustaining a healthy life, and just maintaining just a healthy, patterns when I think of nutrition.
Okay. When we use the term access, I noticed that a lot of us in science, well, a lot of us in general say access. We say it all the time. Some folks don't have access. Some folks have more access. What specifically, and anyone can answer this, what specifically does access mean when we talk about accessing good nutrition?
Maybe fruits, veggies, non-processed foods, things like that. Sometimes maybe a neighborhood would have an abundance of convenience stores. And in that convenience, there's a lot of prepackaged things. And unfortunately, they taste really tasty, like chips and things like that, and candy bars. They're good. They taste good. But they're not always filled with things that we need to maintain balanced, healthy living.
Okay. So I heard you say convenience stores, and we're talking about access. What about those fruits and vegetables in terms of access? What would access mean? What does access mean? So like if I live in a neighborhood and there are a lot of convenience stores, I can access those stores easily because I can walk by foot.
Right.
But what does access mean, Sean?
I think access is just having the ability to walk to a park, a community garden, your neighbor who can grow their own foods and fruits and vegetables, just having the abilities where it's not, she said, processed, right? And having, more food markets that's not so expensive, community grocery stores, right? Where you have the access to not only drive, but if you don't have a car, you can walk, you can take public transportation that'll lead you there. So that is what comes to mind when I think of access.
Okay, so it sounds like it's the ability to get to the foods that we need.
Mm-hmm.
The reasonable ability to get there. Okay. I just realized that. Go ahead, Clint.
I was going to say, sometimes you have to practice access. You have to, because I didn't even think of like a nice little, community garden or a food mart, Sean. So that's really good, because sometimes those things, or grow it yourself, there's so many things you can do that are beneficial to you, beneficial to your pockets as well, because they're not that costly, but it's just so easy sometimes to pick up something on the go that's already cooked, and you don't want to really look at the nutrition label. Yeah, that's okay. I'm not going to look at that. I'm just going to eat it because I'm on the go. But you do have to practice, in essence, to find those places that are really healthy with fruits and vegetables.
Yeah, we get hungry and we want to eat right away. And those of us who have the money or who have the food stamps available to buy these foods, we have those choices. And then there's a large majority of us who don't have these choices. So that's another block to access when you don't have the money or the funds or the knowledge about what to buy, what to get, and how to prepare it. These are all really common. We're going to talk more about them today. When I think of nutrition, I think of filling one's body. And so we'll look at that here. And nutrition is actually getting and using food and water in order to grow, to maintain health, to reproduce, and to thrive. I might add in here, I put getting and using. However, it's also giving, because we provide nutrition for our families as well.
Mm-hmm.
What does nutrition mean to you? And let me clarify this slide. as far as for your personal self, or maybe from your family perspective? What does it mean to you? This is one of those deep questions. I'll start us off here. So nutrition to me means making sure that I eat foods that are high in fiber, high in water, because I know that they accelerate adequate digestion. And I know that as a human being, from a science perspective, I want my body to have regular metabolic and cellular processes as much as possible. Okay, thank you. As much as possible. So I always think about fiber and water. What foods have the most fiber and water in them? What about for you?
I like a lot of fruits, but I love salads. That's my favorite. And, I try to, my family's not as fond of salads as I am, but I do still add that into every meal. So, but I love salads and not drowned in dressing. That was hard to accomplish, but it was necessary. So
it tastes good. Dressing tastes good. Okay.
It does.
Bella, what about for you? What does nutrition mean to you?
For me personally, I just know like dairy products isn't something that really like sits well with me. So I kind of like stray away from that, but also just like having like fruits and vegetables and like kind of lean meat, because I notice like overall it just makes me feel like good in the morning, and then like also throughout my day, especially when I'm like at practice or working out, I feel more energized to do that. And especially like days after that, I don't feel like as sore as I would when I like would eat like anything I wanted. So
so you have less soreness and better recovery after eating what you know you should eat?
Yeah, definitely.
Interesting. Okay, thank you. How about you, Sean? Any thoughts about what nutrition means to you personally?
To be frank, I think I'm still learning what it means. I'm still in the process of figuring it all out, because I think once you know better, you do better, and still just trying to unlearn some things of coming from an environment that has, a lot of processed foods and coming from like food deserts and everything. So I'm just trying to learn, just unlearn that. So I'm just trying to figure that out. But I think right now it's just going for walks and eating more greens. But I think I have a jaded perspective of what nutrition, because I remember growing up, we had the pyramids. The pyramid would be grain, the fruit, the dairy, but I'm staying away from dairy. As far as like milk, I drink almond milk. So it's still a challenge. I'm still working through it. So I don't know if that's a concrete answer, but I think I'm trying to figure it all out and unlearn some things.
Yeah, it is. I see it as a concrete answer because it's the truth. And also, it's not the truth for just you. That's actually a truth for probably everyone. No one has exact nutrition in place for them because our bodies are constantly changing their dynamic anyway. So we need to change things up. Thank you. We are going to take a quick break for about 60 seconds for a commercial. When you see the commercial, watch the commercial, please, and also stand up to stretch. If you're sitting watching us, I want you to get up to move. We, the guests here, we're going to get up to move too. So get up to move. If you have some water, drink some water. I don't know, take a bite of an apple, do something. And we'll see you back here in 60 or so seconds. Okay. Thank you.
Get ready for one of the most trusted communities for STEM in the nation. Career development and impact. Network building and professional development. Celebration of career achievement, prestigious national awards and events. Access to the most influential industries, looking for the best and the brightest. 3 days of impact. It's Bea 38, and it's coming back to Baltimore for the first time in nearly 20 years. You don't want to miss the event of the year for Impact in STEM. The Bea STEM Conference, Becoming Everything You Are, February 15th through the 17th, 2024, at the Baltimore Convention Center. Mark your calendars now. That's February 15th through the 17th, 2024, at the Baltimore Convention Center. For more information, visit www.bea.org. Bea, becoming everything you are.
Welcome back, everyone, from the break. Please join in with Bea if you can. Bea's a wonderful event. Love Bea, Bea, Bea. We're back. We're here talking with some experts today about nutrition. We just finished a quick discussion about what nutrition means to each one of us individually. So we're going to go on to the next steps. Okay. We have 3 questions. By the way, I'm catching my breath because I got up and I moved. I said it. I did it. What did we eat growing up? When we were growing up, what did we eat? How did we eat? So like, were you sitting, standing, outside, inside? Were you with other people? Were you alone? And why did we eat these foods? This conversation should be rich and lovely. So what did we all eat when we were growing up?
I'll go.
Yeah.
I'm from Alabama, and that's considered, even though I live in Florida now, Alabama is considered South. Florida's not. So that's bizarre to me, but it's okay. But there's a lot of soul food, you know, a lot of things that unfortunately I didn't like. So I kind of grew up watching everyone else eat a lot of soul-y type foods and, you know, collard greens and, you know, fried chicken and things like that, that were just staples amongst the, you know, different things inside of the greens, like ham bones and stuff like that, you know, to make them really taste good. And, you know, so it's just kind of interesting that I didn't really like it a lot, and I would eat very mild foods. I just didn't like a lot of seasonings. So my family's probably watching this and they're probably laughing, going, yeah. But one of the things we did have to eat growing up a lot, you know, spending any time at your grandmother's house and things like that, lots of fruits, lots of veggies. You know, she cooked things, so you would eat, you know, chicken and dumplings or something like that. So meals that were hearty, soups, peas, beans, things like that. So, I mean, yeah, just different, I think, because she had the time to cook. My mom had a little time to cook, and, you know, less access to a lot of the processed foods.
Okay, I hear there was some at-home cooking going on. That's a big deal.
Yes.
That's huge. Also a lovely smell. What's that?
Huge deal.
That's huge. Did you help with the cooking?
I did not. Now, just wasn't my bag of you know, tricks right there. But I did, once I grew up, I learned to cook and things like that. So I do a lot of healthy meals now, you know, but it's a little bit of a compliment to the things that I grew up eating. And I found different ways to make the things that everybody else ate that were a little bit on the intense side, a little bit less intense, a lot faster, and a lot healthier today. So.
And do folks eat them when you cook them?
Yeah, my family, no. My immediate family, husband and kids, yeah, they like them, but everybody else, it's pretty much a no-go. So
it's going to take a little transition time. Okay. A lot of change. Isn't that how it goes? Oh my goodness. Let's see. How about Bella? What did you grow up eating?
So I'm Mexican and Native American, so like a lot of the food was like more like modernized foods. So like a lot of fried food, like, you know, like chile rellenos, chimichangas, like tamales, like a lot of like carbs and stuff, which it's really good. And also like lots of red meat and stuff like that. And especially like with my grandma's, like I spent a lot of time with her growing up, and she loves to cook with like salt. Like she'll like overfeed me. She's like every hour she'll be like, "Are you hungry? Do you want me to make you something?" And I'm like, "No, like I'm fine." Like, so it was just like I was always well fed as a child. Like definitely.
She's like, "Are you sure you're not hungry?" Like, actually, I'm not.
Every hour.
No, I'm not. Did you eat the food anyway?
I started like when I got older, I started like being able to like tell her like, no, like I'll wait a little bit, but it was definitely harder when I was younger because
yeah,
it was good food, so like I would eat it no matter.
Right.
Yeah,
that's a grandma overfeeding out of love.
Yes,
this is what happened. All right, Sean, how about for you?
For me, my grandmother. So. My mom, actually, I love soul food, but my mom, I didn't eat soul food growing up. She always thought it was unhealthy. So when I got to the South of college. I love soul food. I still love soul food. But my grandmother's from the Bahamas, so I would have a lot of Caribbean food and a lot of just different spices. And then I'm from New London, Connecticut, so there's a huge Latinx population. So I remember just having empanadas growing up, and just a lot of rice, a lot of lot of rich food. My mom, it was a balance because she worked a lot, so she would cook when she could. And we lived right near like all the fast food restaurants, so McDonald's, Wendy's, in New London, Coleman Street. We lived right near there, so that was a lot of our access growing up. And it's a lot of pizzas, a lot of Italian restaurants, huge Italian population. So we'd have pasta, pizza a lot. So that's what I remember. I would always help cook when I could. But yeah, I think it was just a lot of Italian food. That's what I remember growing up. A lot of Italian food and a lot of Caribbean food, and fast food, unfortunately.
And fast food. And you help to cook?
Yes.
You cook now?
When I can, I try to. Now for holidays, I cook I just did like the turkey and mac and cheese and a lot of the big things. So I don't mind it. I like to do it.
Okay.
I'm a baker. Right. Baking is what I love to do. I bake like that.
You like to bake. Okay. All right. Does anyone else like to bake while we're talking about it?
Yes.
Oh, you do? All right. I am definitely not a part of that team. I would like to taste what you make. I am not going to bake any of it. My family knows that I burn things that get baked. So it's just what it is. I do cook a lot. I do not anyway. How did you eat when you were growing up? Like, I remember in my household, it was me and my sister and my mom. And we ate together at the table as often as possible. And then when my sister and I became preteens and teens, we were all over the place and did 10 million activities. And so that memory of eating together is not as strong. I don't remember if we ate together as much after that. Now we do. And it feels very, very familiar to me when we go back to my mom's house to visit. It feels natural to sit back at the same exact table that we had when I was growing up. Wow. So to me, that tells me it was very familiar that I was in that physical place with my family. I also remember we had neighbors come over sometimes randomly, definitely just for events, or, hey, we have extra dinner, come over to eat. And it was calming. And I remember sharing food, and I remember like drinking water together and whatever else we drank. I remember people pouring for me, and I learned how to pour for others and serve others first from that experience. So to me, eating together is a big deal, and it enriched my life at the time, and it continues to now. So how about for you? What was eating like for you growing up?
For me, my family, we had like this little convergence in the kitchen area with the table, or at the counter with the bar stools, always growing up. Even Thanksgiving, it was not a formal sit down. It was just everybody just comes together. You grab your plate, you kind of buffet style go down and get it. You sit wherever in the area, and it's just lots of talk and, connection. So there was never really like a time frame put on anything. So now that I'm grown, we don't really do a lot of formal, but we do a lot of converging in the kitchen. We still have that same setup. You got the bar counter, everybody's right there. And even at times I'd find myself standing if we have a group of people over, and because everybody else has all the chairs and I'm standing and we're eating and talking, and, somebody will say, hey, do you want to sit down? I was like, no, I'm used to this. This is fun. This is what it's all about for me. So I think we kind of tied eating a little bit more into the conversation part of it. So it became less about the formality. So
I like how you said convergence. That's what it was. Everybody came together. It was a convergence. How about for you, Bella? What was it like?
So me and my two older brothers, we always had like very busy schedules. So it was always hard to like all sit down once, like every single day. But we did make it like a plan, like where we would carve out time on Sundays to like have a family dinner. and we would all like just cook together, and then like invite friends and family too if they wanted to come. So it was definitely like hard like during the weekdays to kind of all sit down together, but we did like kind of find a solution to that so we could at least have like one family meal at least.
I like that.
That Sunday meal. Okay. How about for you, Sean?
I think for the most part, when we were younger, me and my brothers, we would just sit at the table, but I think we would just reconvene around the TV. Like we would eat food and watch TV. Even when like during Thanksgiving, it was never I think because our family started to grow, like there wasn't as many seats for the table. So we just started to go on the couch and eat. And that's how we would share and, you know, be in conversation with one another during that time, during those moments. But we were still focused on either the show, the movie, but still share that community while still being engaging with the TV.
Yeah, it's still engagement. Mm-hmm. I was going to mention before, I should have mentioned before, if this is a sensitive topic for anyone, we could skip it because there are many folks who've experienced either houselessness or major food insecurity, not knowing where your next meal is going to come from, not knowing if you're going to have a next meal or knowing that you won't have a next meal. You know, some folks grow up in abusive households, and so sitting around at a table or sitting with family may not be comfortable. So forgive me, I should have said that up front. That's something to take into consideration when we have these discussions about nutrition. It's a big deal. Why did we eat the foods that we ate growing up? Go ahead, Quan.
Well, we had a rule. If you didn't want to eat what was prepared, then you're on your own. So, and I was the one that didn't like to eat what was prepared. So I would, you know, kindly excuse myself and grab something very simple and light, and that would be it. So,
yeah, so it was a family expectation that you ate what was cooked.
Yes.
And that's why you ate it. Okay. We had that too.
Yeah.
For the most part, my mom introduced us to a wide variety of foods, especially a lot of vegetables, so many vegetables, and fungi, which are mushrooms. Well, they aren't mushrooms. Mushrooms are a type of fungus. So we had a lot of variety. However, we generally were expected to eat what was cooked. And that's why I don't know if I think my mom was watching. Part of the reason why I started cooking because I wanted to eat food that I wanted to eat. So if I cooked it, what could she say? Right? What did you say? Okay, Bella. Why do you think your family ate the foods that they ate?
I think it's just like a traditional aspect to it, and then also this like the convenience, like they've grown up making that, so it's kind of like just like an easy thing to make. And to like growing up, we did kind of eat a lot of fast food too, because you'd be like coming from school and practice and having to do this and that, so it was just like convenient to go grab something.
The convenience. Okay. Sean, what about for you?
We were greedy growing up, so we ate everything. So yes, I was a greedy kid, so I just really loved sweets. I loved food. But yes, it was an expectation. Like you had to eat, right? Or you wouldn't grow. That was the thing. You wouldn't be strong growing up. Eat all your vegetables so you can be strong. Now listening, these are just like incentives so we could eat, right? Yeah, I think it's also convenience and just, you know, just knowing that, hey, this is what we do as a family. This is how, you know, we survive. Like we must eat, and it tastes good. So I think that's why, you know, growing up, I ate those foods, and food was like my pleasure place. That was comforting for me. So I think that's why I can say I had eaten those foods.
Absolutely. Food is comfortable. The whole process of smelling food, seeing food, assessing what you might be able to eat. I already said smelling food. Then putting the food into your mouth, chewing the food. These are all sensations that bring about a calm or an excitement, depending on what you're eating. And then swallowing the food. Your body knows that your stomach is about to receive something that will probably hopefully be nourishing. Even if it's not nourishing, it's going to be at least filling. So there's a lot of sensation that goes around with food, and that's part of the reason why we have different types of disordered eating. That can be part of the reason why we have different types of disordered eating, is because of the expectations that we have in society of how much we should eat versus what our bodies probably need. Okay, I see that we have 2 questions from the audience. What are our questions from? Oh, here we go. I tend to lose discipline during the holidays. How do you stay healthy during this time with so many good but bad foods? Ooh, well, first of all, I'd want to know what discipline means for you. However, if you want to throw that in there after, that would be great. How do you stay healthy during this time? The holidays are a time when we're all together and we're just eating. Most folks, not everyone, most folks are like, oh my God, I can choose from 12 different items. And I want to eat them because I'm with my family and I'm happy. That's okay. It's 1 day of eating. It's 2 days of eating. It's okay to do it. Here's the thing. Your body will let you know if you've overdone it. And the hope and desire, right, is that after your body tells you, hey, you just overdid it on the fat or the salt or the wheat, whatever it is, hopefully you will bounce back within the next day and get back to the way you were eating before. If you don't and you continue to indulge, you're probably going to have some negative responses, some gastrointestinal upset. You might have some nausea, headache, irritability, issues with focusing and sleeping. These can all happen from just 2 days of overeating, overindulging, or eating foods that you don't traditionally eat or that are really high in fat or salt or sugar. So my recommendation is to try as much as you can to go back to eating as you ate before the holiday within, 24 hours of when you started the holiday, and then just live your life. I mean, if it's something very specific, I strongly recommend setting up an appointment with me. We can talk about all of that. However, in general, a lot of us follow this pattern where we get together, we're happy, or we're stressed. The holidays can induce a lot of stress too. And we eat. We eat to compensate for pain we might experience during the holidays. Some people have experienced loss. We eat because of joy, and we eat because the food smells and looks good. Sometimes we eat because we spent 5 hours preparing XYZ and we're going to make sure to eat it. I mean, so the tip is to stay healthy, is to get back to eating the way you ate before. Hopefully that was relatively healthy pattern. And then get up and move. Like during our commercial break, we all got up and moved, right? We're gonna pretend like I moved. Get up and move as much as you can. Go out for a walk. I don't know if you do push-ups. Does anyone here do push-ups? Does anyone do push-ups anymore? Oh, okay. Again, I'm in the out group on that one. Do push-ups. Do what you got to do. Drink a lot of water, and your body should come back to its regular, more balanced state. All right, so it looks like we have, thank you for that question, Nikki. And Nikki, if you want to describe a little bit more about what discipline means, I'd be glad to hear about that. It looks like we have one more question that came through. Can we talk about how your nutrition can aid you when trying to hit your fitness goals? Sure. Well, first of all, I always recommend and will always recommend eating as many plants and as much seaweed and as many mushrooms, fungi, nuts, and seeds as possible above and beyond all your other foods. These foods are all grown from the earth or grown from trees, and they contain all of the nutrients, all of the protein. Yes, there's protein in all these foods. All of the protein and all of the water and all of the vitamins and minerals, etc., that we need in order to function as human beings. Also, they have the additional benefit of having a lot of fiber. So when we put all these together, your cells that have been destroyed during working out can heal faster and better. and your muscles can become stronger. And therefore, you can have better endurance. Again, this is something you'd want to talk about very specifically with clinical nutritionists, Dr. Watson. But just in general, when you're eating and paying attention to what you're eating and making sure you're eating non-animal products as often as possible, your fitness goals will become more and more achievable. I actually guarantee that. And making sure that you're staying hydrated, however that is. That's eating fresh fruits and vegetables, that's eating soups, that's drinking water, that's drinking tea. It's okay to drink some coffee, right? All of these contribute to your hydration level. Staying hydrated is a huge deal for fitness goals. Okay. Thank you for those questions. We're going to go back to this part of the show. So we've got one picture we're going to take a peek at because I'm looking at our time. Oh, we're good. We are going to actually stop here for a moment and we're going to take a quick commercial break. And then we're going to come back and talk about some foods that I think will make us all really happy. I think will make us happy. So please take a moment here. We're going to take another commercial break, get up, stretch, get some water, and we'll see you back in about a minute or so.
What if you could build your own city? A place where every child can find nurturing people to help them achieve their full potential. A place where every adult can access job training support. Where health education is abundant. Where social justice ruled the land. A place without limitations. Welcome. You have arrived at STEM City, USA. It is what every city should be. A safe and trusted community where you find people and resources to help you become everything you are and beyond. STEM City is unlike anything you have ever experienced. It is a digital twin of the world around you, only better. STEM City is about energy and soul renewal. It is more than a digital world. You can almost feel the power of live cultural events, music, and theater. STEM City promises a better future for children with caring mentors and hands-on activities with dedicated tutors to support our youth. STEM City is your passport to a healthy lifestyle with weekly events addressing our community's many issues. STEM City is your financial well-being with helpful information on wealth management, career advancement, job training, and so much more. STEM City is the community you deserve. It is the city where your dreams can come true. STEM City USA, a place in the sky that is accessible to all who reach for the stars.
Welcome back, everyone, to our discussion about nutrition. I have my guests here today, Bella, Sean, and Quan, my expert guests. We are talking about everything nutrition, everything that we can cram into 1 hour period. We probably need 12 hours, but we can't do that. We had started talking about what nutrition is, what it means to us, what we did growing up, in terms of what we ate, how we ate, etc. And so now we're going to look at some examples of foods on the slides, and then we're going to just assess them. We're going to analyze them. So our first slide we have here, we can pull this up. I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to ask, right, what do you think? And just jump in. And you don't have to use full sentences. You can say whatever you want.
This is
looks good. Looks delicious.
See, that's the problem when you see these. It's like you really want them. I love donuts and fries and chocolate. But yeah, wow. We grow. We know better. We know better.
Yeah.
Knowing better doesn't mean that we change, though. Right? What were you saying, Bella? Sorry.
Nothing. I love all this food in this picture.
She's stunned.
And the background is lovely too. The color, it's very inviting, right? It's like, come eat all this. All right, let's go to the next one.
Oh, that looks great. I don't know about the mac and cheese, but but that fried chicken and the collard greens looks really good.
See, that would have been something back in the day that, that would have been served, and I'd have been like, I don't think I want that, Yeah. Maybe the chicken, because it does look pretty golden.
Right. That chicken does.
No, that is not Kraft macaroni and cheese. I don't think so. We just had one of our producers ask a question. I don't think so. Oh, Shireen said.
Thank you. Hi, Shireen.
Okay. Noah, any thoughts?
And look, I love soul food. The first time I had it was when I went to Washington, D.C. on a school trip, and I fell in love with it. It was so good.
Well, you had it in D.C. too, which is like, come on, deliciousness, right?
Yes.
See, I never liked collard greens, but I did learn from someone, I think she was from Guyana. She says, oh yeah, you take the collard greens and then you just saute it in a really hot skillet or whatever. And so you saute it, a little bit of salt, a little bit of vinegar, and boom. And it only takes a few minutes. And I was just like, no, collard greens take like 3 days to cook, at least, because that's how it was growing up. And I tried it and I loved it. But
it's interesting. You know what? I remember too. It took forever to have the collard greens cooked, and now I make them all the time. I make them vegan, and it doesn't take that long. Maybe it was a process. Maybe it was just fun to cook the ham hocks and the smoked shoulder and the smoked head and all of it. Maybe it was just fun. You're boiling it. You're talking. Everybody's standing around. I think it was part of the process. All right. How about this one?
All day long.
Yep.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was great.
That was great.
That looks good too. Now I have to stay away from all these things, but
why do you think you have to stay away from them?
I think they're so addictive sometimes because of the high salt content. And if it doesn't have all of the salt in it, like I've tried to do vegan burgers before, and it just wasn't the same. It didn't have the same draw. So I see the pepperoni, that tastes good, but they're usually high in salt. The bacon, it looks delicious. I just can't eat it.
Because of the salt content, the high salt content?
And then just the overall, health of it. I'm sure it's like Sean said earlier, when you know better, you do better. And, I don't think my body responds the same way that it did maybe when I was much younger.
Yeah, a lot of the preserved meats, the bacon, pepperoni, sausages, they have chemicals that are added to them. And there are natural forms of bacon and sausage and pepperoni you can make at home. I don't ever promote eating meat. However, I know people eat meat, and that's part of life. It's life. So the more natural you can get, the better. If you're buying it prepackaged, it probably has chemicals added. It probably has chemically processed herbs and spices. And it definitely, I don't care if it says low sodium, it definitely has a lot of salt in it. So a recommendation is, if you're making your own sausage at home, make it without any salt. And here's a quick sausage recipe, sort of. You have your ground, again, I don't promote meat. Your ground is something, okay? Whatever that is. Maybe it's mushrooms and onions and walnut mixture. And then add a lot of garlic powder. I'm talking a lot, not, a teaspoon. A lot of garlic powder, some paprika, sage, rosemary, onion powder, pepper, and some maple syrup. I like to add red pepper flake to everything in my life, but mix all this together with a little bit of oil, maybe olive oil, grapeseed oil, avocado oil, and put them into the patties and put them into the pan. There's a good homemade sausage. Pepperoni, I think the underlying flavor this season is fennel, Fennel's a really wonderful anti-inflammatory. It can help with blood pressure issues, with diabetes issues, with migraines, etc. However, because it's in the processed pepperoni, you don't get as much of the benefit. So if you make your own non-animal pepperoni at home, please let me know. You can put it in the chat or wherever. Let me know. I'd like to know how that's done. Any thoughts from Bella, Sean, about this slide?
I actually don't eat pork. I didn't grow up eating pork, so I never had like bologna or ham, or I had turkey bacon. So this slide doesn't look as appetizing for me.
You know what's interesting? A lot of us Black folks grew up being told that pork was evil, terrible to eat. Why is that? Why were we taught that? Where did that come from? Any thoughts?
I think a couple of thoughts come to mind. I think there's like a religious standpoint of like it being unclean and pigs and not being a clean animal. But then I also think of, during enslavement, how like that's what we had to, a lot of the enslaved, Black people had to just eat, the scraps, right? Had to eat, the chitlins, the, pigs. And so maybe trying to break those generational, curses and saying like, no, we're not eating pork anymore. So those are my thoughts. I don't know if that's true or if that's factual. So
yeah, that's a really rich discussion to have. I agree with you, especially about the intergenerational inheritance of memories of horror. Someone said I love bacon. Also, just a note, again, I am not endorsing eating pork. However, the notion that pigs are unhealthy is probably not quite accurate, because pigs eat a wide variety of foods, and they're very organized creatures, and they're actually not dirty. I think people see them put their faces into mud to cool themselves and may see that as dirty, or the fact that they'll eat pretty much anything that you give them. But pigs are very intelligent as far as we determine intelligence. They're intelligent. They are community creatures. They are loving animals. So just something to keep in mind. A lot of times I'll hear folks say, ooh, those are nasty animals. And it's like, no, they're animals, just like we're animals. All right, here's a plate here with rice and beans and plantains or plátanos, and then pernil, which is a roasted pork, and then avocado up in the top left corner. And I put this up here because it represents a lot of Caribbean eating. It also represents the merger between West African foods that were brought over here when enslaved people were forced to come here, and Central American and Caribbean foods and Spanish foods, and actually a little bit of Asian and Eastern European influence as well. Okay, the drinks. We've seen all these, right? What are they loaded with?
Sugar,
caffeine, and sodium.
Oh, yeah.
Wow, there we go again, Quan, right? We can't get away from it.
Can't get away. And that used to be my staples during college.
Yes, why?
Caffeine, easy, fast, the machine's right there. Put your money in, get your Coke, head to class,
Yeah. Also, there's water in these drinks. There really is water. So you're drinking, and you might be thinking, oh, I'm hydrating. And you kind of are. It's just that it's better to drink water. Okay. It looks like we are coming to the end. So I'll just go through these quickly. The significance of good nutrition. Significance is importance. Every human being has to eat. This is not something that we can negotiate. Every human being has to eat. Every human being has to drink water. And there are restrictions in some communities. This is a whole other show discussion. They're in particular Black and Brown communities, low-income communities, definitely indigenous communities, otherwise marginalized and historically abused communities have restrictions on food. Whatever it is in society systemically is interrupting adequate access to healthy foods for these communities. And I want us to move forward today, keeping that in mind, that there are ways that we can help. Speak up with your legislators to promote healthier eating in communities. You can help with food banks. You can find out which areas of people, which populations need the most support and nutrition, and go help there. Our ancestors' foods and practices. Oh my goodness. So Bella identifies as Mexican and indigenous, right? If you look back on what your ancestors used to eat, which traditionally was a lot of corn product, bean product, greens products, tomatoes, eating those foods that your ancestors ate and eating in community as your ancestors ate can bring your own physical body a maximum level of nutrition, which I think is beautiful. That's a whole other topic for a whole other show. It's so cool. And then somebody already asked before, what can we do to stay healthy or to get back to being healthy during our break, during our holiday? We kind of talked about that before. After you overindulge, it's okay. It's going to happen. You can't try to front. You know it's going to happen. Try to get back on your regular, as healthy eating pattern as possible as soon as you can. These are just some foods that we don't usually think of as being from West Africa. I'm going to highlight them. Many different species of beans, definitely rice, and then yuca or cassava, as many people call it. Is there another word for yuca that you all know other than cassava? I don't know, but no, there probably are. So these foods are basic. They are cheap. What's interesting is that they're not quick cook. You got to do some work, right? You got to soak the beans. You have to boil and steam the rice. You have to, good grief, peel the yuca, cut the yuca, remove the fibrous center, and then steam it or boil it. So they're not easy to prepare. However, once you prepare them in large quantities, you have them readily available in the refrigerator, and they are highly nutrient dense. These are foods that were indigenous to Central America and the Caribbean. So tomatoes, corn, definitely all day, and green beans. I didn't even know this until recently. And combining all of these can give you optimal nutrition because you're crossing different types of nutrients, different vitamins, different elements, different chemicals and biochemicals. You're combining them and you can come up with a power dish. So for example, in this case, making a simple soup with green beans and say potatoes and tomatoes and corn could give you a whole host of antioxidants, boom, in one bowl. I would probably always add garlic. Here's just an image of some foods that are really good for anxiety and depression. Berries, olive oil, walnuts, almonds, peppers, anything with citrus, tomatoes, garlic, onion, all the time. They help to regulate our nervous system and can help to impact anxiety and depression, hopefully reduce them. You know what, Sean? I don't know if broccoli is something that was created by humans. I don't suspect so. Perhaps the different varieties have become a product of human intervention. Wow. That's a good question. Thank you. I'm going to look that up. Do you like broccoli?
No, I've been hearing that recently, that like broccoli, Brussels sprouts, that they weren't like natural. They were just created like in a lab. I didn't know how true.
Oh, I don't think they were created in a lab because we've been eating them before labs were in existence. But I wonder if we've done some hybridization and kind of bumped it up a little bit. Good question, though. I just wrote down broccoli. Thank you. So we'll go. Thank you, Ray. Just an image of merging vegetables and fruits. This is a vegan sancocho, which is a Dominican and other in the Caribbean area soup. And this is a vegan version. There's no meat in it. Quan, I'm not kidding. These are mushrooms. These are oyster mushrooms.
Oh, wow. Get out.
That's for you. Yes.
Thank you. That too. I'm taking that one as well.
Yes. And then these are some plant-based and fungus-based mushrooms, tacos. And then here's just a rework of a previous meal. Just add some salad in, remove the majority of the meat, and you're good. And water all the time with each meal. We have addressed some questions. So today we covered a lot. We need more time. We did cover a lot. I thank you so much, guests, experts, for being here. We talked about various ways to approach nutrition. We reviewed our own experiences with nutrition. And we've talked without maybe us knowing about how to incorporate more plants and fungi and seaweed into our eating practices. Thank you again to everyone who's attended. And in the future, for future Healthy Doses with Dr. Erica E. Watson, we're going to have more topics. I don't want to reveal all of them yet. They're going to be around food and trauma. And we're going to have some cooking episodes where I'm going to be cooking and you all will be watching. And I am not baking because I will burn. So please look forward to those episodes. They will be posted. And I would just want to thank you all for being here today and wrap it up for the day. Thank you.
Thank you. Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Get ready for one of the most trusted communities for STEM in the nation. Career development and impact. Network building and professional development. Celebration of career achievement. Prestigious national awards and events. Access to the most influential industries. Looking for the best and the brightest. 3 days of impact. It's Bea 38. And it's coming back to Baltimore for the first time in nearly 20 years. You don't want to miss the event of the year for Impact in STEM. The Bea STEM Conference, Becoming Everything You Are, February 15th through the 17th, 2024, at the Baltimore Convention Center. Mark your calendars now. That's February 15th through the 17th, 2024, at the Baltimore Convention Center. For more information, visit www.bea.org. Bea, becoming everything you are.